Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya,
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 Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna
Request everyone to join in this Kirtan.
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Everyone together.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna
Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hari Bol.
Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol. Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol.
Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol. Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol.
Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol. Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol.
Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol. Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol.
Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol. Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol.
Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol. Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol.
Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol. Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol.
Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol. Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare.
Please, everyone join with us in singing this Hare Krishna Kirtan.
Krishna,
We can all clap and join.
Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Ram,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Jayo Radha Krishna Chandra, Radha Krishna Chandra, Radha Krishna Chandra, Jai Radhe.
Jayo Radha Krishna Chandra, Radha Krishna Chandra, Radha Krishna Chandra, Jayo Radhe.
Jayo Krishna Balaram, Jayo Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jayo Krishna Balaram.
Krishna Balaram, Jayo Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Vrindavana Dham.
Jayo Nittai Gauranga, Jayo Nittai Gauranga, Nittai Gauranga, Jayo Nittai Gauranga.
Jayo Nitai Gauranga, Jayo Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Jayo Nitai Gauranga.
Jayo Srinivas Govinda, Jayo Srinivas Govinda, Srinivas Govinda, Jayo Srinivas Govinda.
Jayo Srinivas Govinda, Jayo Srinivas Govinda, Srinivas Govinda, Jayo Srinivas Govinda.
Jayo Prahlad Narasimha, Jayo Prahlad Narasimha, Prahlad Narasimha, Jayo Prahlad Narasimha.
Jayo Prahlad Narasimha, Jayo Prahlad Narasimha, Prahlad Narasimha, Jayo Prahlad.
Jayo Bhakta Hanuman, Jayo Garuda De, Bhakta Hanuman, Jayo Garuda De.
Jayo Bhakta Hanuman, Jayo Garuda De, Bhakta Hanuman, Jayo Garuda.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev Prabhupada, Gurudev Prabhupada.
Jaya Gurudev Prabhupada, Gurudev Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev Prabhupada, Gurudev Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev Prabhupada, Gurudev Prabhupada.
Nittai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nittai Gaura Hari Bol.
Nittai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Shri Shri Radha Krishna Chandra Bhagavan ki
Jai,
Krishna Balaram ki
Jai.
Shri Nitai Gauranga ki
Jai.
Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Nitai Gaur Premanandi.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. I request all the audience to be seated and we'll begin the program in few minutes. Hope you have marked your presence at the help desk and collected your lunch coupons. Kindly note, once the national conference begins, both the doors of the theatre will remain closed during this conference. Kindly be seated and cooperate. Enjoy the program. We'll start the program shortly.
Hare Krishna. Video, please.
India, home of 1.3 billion people, is a confluence of religions, traditions, and customs. A thriving global center of technology and the world's largest democracy. As one of the oldest civilizations in the world with a rich cultural heritage and diversity, and as the fifth largest economy in the world, India is proud to assume the presidency of G20. As the country blooms into a new era, we look to another poignant symbol for humanity to emerge victorious from its challenges. Lotus, the national flower of India, representing our culture, history, and heritage. A poignant symbol for humanity to emerge victorious from its challenges. And the inspiration for India's G20 logo design. The design, rendered in saffron, white, green, and blue, is drawn from the national flag of India. The 7 petals in the logo signify the 7 seas and the coming together of 7 continents at G20 India 2023. Sitting above the lotus is a representation of the earth, reflecting India's pro-planet approach to life and seeing the world as one family. From this, we derive the theme for G20 India 2023, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, one earth, one family, one future. A theme that brings the G20's focus on shared global growth, while being in harmony with nature. G20 India 2023. One earth, one family, one future.
Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam.
भारत एक राष्ट्र होने के साथ ही एक महान परंपरा है, एक वैचारिक अधिष्ठान है, एक संस्कार की सरिता है। भारत वो शीर्ष चिंतन है जो वसुधैव कुटुंबकम की बात करता है। भारत दूसरे के नुकसान की कीमत पर अपने उत्थान के सपने नहीं देखता। भारत अपने साथ संपूर्ण मानवता के, पूरी दुनिया के कल्याण की कामना करता है। आज जब हम आत्मनिर्भर भारत अभियान को आगे बढ़ाते हैं तो विश्व के लिए प्रगति की नई संभावनाएं खोलने की भी बात करते हैं। आज जब हम योग के प्रसार के लिए प्रयास करते हैं तो विश्व के हर व्यक्ति के लिए सर्वे संतु निरामया की कामना करते हैं। क्लाइमेट चेंज और सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट जैसे विषयों को लेकर भी भारत की आवाज पूरी मानवता का प्रतिनिधित्व कर रही है। ये समय भारत के इस अभियान को आगे बढ़ाने का है।
Dayanand Saraswati, Srila Prabhupada of ISKCON, Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, Mahatma Phulu, Lokmanya Tilak, Mahatma Gandhi, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. India's C20 presidency aims to focus on issues ranging from wellness to seva, from cyberspace to social justice. One among the 9 working groups of C20 is on the theme of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, World is One Family. The international conference on this theme will be held on May 27th and 28th of this year at Mahabalipuram, Chennai. Today's national conference at ISKCON Bangalore is a prelude to the international conference which will be held next week. Without any further delay, I would like to invite the eminent speaker of today's C20 National Conference on the stage. Let me welcome His Grace Chanchalapathi Dasa, who is a Vice President, ISKCON Bangalore, and Vice Chairman at the Akshay Patra Foundation. Next, we have Gururaj Karajagi. He is an educational expert and a motivational speaker. Next, Dr. B.V. Aarti. She is a scholar in Sanskrit and Indology. Srimati Saiswaroopa Iyer, Indic author and curator. We have Sandeep Nair, Associate Professor at Chanakya University, who will be moderating today's panel discussion. Now I request our guest to inaugurate the program by lighting the camp.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nidhi Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Thank you. It is my privilege to welcome and introduce today's eminent speakers and honor them. First we have His Grace Chanchalapathi Dasa. He is a Senior Vice President at ISKCON Bangalore and a Vice Chairman at the Akshay Patra Foundation. I would request Mocha Chaitanya Prabhu to kindly facilitate His Grace Chanchalapathi Dasa on this occasion. Next, I would like to welcome Dr. Gururaj Gajargi, educational expert, motivational speaker, and director of Academy of Creative Writing. I request His Grace Chanchalapathi Dasa to felicitate him with a temple honor and a memento from C20 Organizing Committee. Next we have B.V. Arathi. She's a scholar in Sanskrit, Indology, founder and chairperson of Vibhu Academy. I request her to receive the temple honors and memento from the C20 Organizing Committee. Next we have Srimati Saiswaroopa Iyer, Indic author and curator. And we have Dr. Sandeep Nair. He is an associate professor at Chanakya University, and he will be moderating today's panel discussion. Now, let us begin the conference with a talk from the first speaker. The first speaker we have is His Grace Chanchalapathi Dasa. Let me give you a brief introduction about him. His Grace Chanchalapathi Dasa is a Senior Vice President of ISKCON, Bangalore, President of Vrindavan Chandrodaya Mandir, Vice Chairman of the Akshaya Patra Foundation. While he was an undergraduate student in PSG College of Technology, Coimbatore, he became interested in the message and mission of Srila Prabhupada, the founding Acharya of ISKCON. Later, he joined Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, for a master program. In 1984, he became a full-time dedicated member of ISKCON Bangalore and soon became vice president. He has been involved in implementation of various programs of ISKCON Bangalore and the Akshaya Patra Foundation. Some of his efforts in preserving and promoting our Sanatan Dharma and Krishna Bhakti are: he was involved in story research, script direction, creative design of 13-episode 3D animation series named Little Krishna. He is also the president of upcoming world's tallest religious structure in Vrindavan, Mathura, named Vrindavan Chandrodaya Mandir. When completed, this will be the world's first skyscraper temple, which will be attraction to millions of people to the land of Lord Krishna. And today, he will be presenting his views on how Sanatan Dharma helps in achieving the spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. World is one family. I welcome you.
Hare Krishna. Very happy to have eminent speakers with me on the dais here. It's in fact a very interesting subject Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Actually, this phrase, this expression comes from one of the Upanishads, which tells us the foundation of our society, of our life, of our understanding, of our pursuit. Because if you look at our situation, each one of us is very different. We are different in genders, we are different in ages, we are different in our intellectual capabilities, we are different in so many ways. And if you are looking at the world, there is differences of nationalities, cultures, ethnicities. Krishna explains in the Gita, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shunichaiva Shvapakecha Pandita Samadarshina. Although there are diverse forms of people and living entities, Brahmana, Gavi, Hastini, etc., a Pandita sees something that is common. That is how Krishna explains in the Gita. And that common factor is actually the spirit. There is a common spirit which is animating our bodies, animating the body of a cow, animating the body of an elephant, of a scholar, of a common man, of everyone. So it is that spirit which is common, which is one which is fundamental, and a Pandita is one who can recognize this commonality despite all the external differences that appear. And it is the spirit which is moving matter. If you look at a grand city, for instance, in modern times, big bridges, highways, expressways, tall buildings, it is the spirit which has moved the matter and reorganized matter in the form of a city. Because matter is inert and can't move by itself, it is the spirit which moves matter. So in the Vedic culture, spirit is fundamental and primary. And we are all particles or units of that spirit. One day, the body that we have now, it breaks down as it is the nature of, as part of nature's laws. And what survives is the spirit that moves on. Today I may be a great singer, I may be a great cricket player, or whatever somebody may be. All of those abilities were manifested through the body because of the presence of the spirit, soul. And when the spirit soul leaves the body, all these abilities, all these great achievements, everything will become null and void. So it's the spirit which is fundamental. And we are all units of that spirit. And when we see that spirit, there is a commonality. And another interesting thing that Krishna teaches is Aham Bija Pradha Pitaha. I am the seed-giving father. He is the father of every spirit soul. In fact, Krishna explains in the Gita, both the material energy and the spiritual energy in the form of the spirit soul, both are his prakriti. Bhumi rapo nalo vayuhu kham mano buddhi revacha ahankara mitiyam me bhinna prakriti rashtada. Me prakriti, it is my energy. Aparimitastva anyam prakritim vidhi me param. Jiva bhuta mahabaho yayedham dharyate jagat. So the material energy is also his energy. The jiva is also his energy. He is the common father of everyone. Why do we say we are one family? I will identify with my sisters and brothers and say they are all my brothers, my sisters. We are from one family because we have one father and mother. So if we recognize that Krishna is the common father of everyone and the Prakriti is the common mother of everyone, then we all belong to one family. So this is the understanding that the Vedic literatures promote and teach us. And when we have this understanding, not focused on the differences but the commonality of the spirit, then we can see that we all belong to one family. And another important thing the Vedic literatures teach, Upanishads teach, Ishavasyam idam sarvam. The Supreme Lord is Isha is the controller of everything, is the owner of everything, proprietor of everything. So if we recognize the commonality of the spirit and the commonality of a common origin of all spirit and the common proprietor and owner and controller of everything, then we can see that we truly belong to one family. Because we will be here for some time and we will be gone. That is the nature of this world. What do the Vedic literatures want us to achieve in this time, in this lifetime? To recognize our common Father, and each one of us have a relation with that common Father. And that relationship is of a loving relationship. To revive and recognize that loving relationship with the Supreme should be the goal of our life. And in the matter of our living, we need money, we need home, we need some family, we need some clothing. We acquire those things with a certain amount of effort. But the goal of life should be to understand the Supreme Spirit from which we have all come, and that we individual spirit has a relation with that Supreme Spirit, and we have to recognize and realize that relationship. This is the message of the Vedic literatures. This is the message of the Bhagavad Gita. If this becomes the basis of life, then it is possible to have a harmonious world as one family. Otherwise, we will be divided on different issues, on different self-interests. Our Acharya Prabhupada gave one example. He said, suppose there is a pool of water, there's a lake of water. I go and throw one stone, and immediately my stone causes many circle of ripples. Another person goes and throws another stone, and the second stone's ripples and my stone's ripples will clash. And a third stone, fourth stone, n number of stones, all the circles will be clashing. But if I throw one stone in the pool, another person throws the stone at the same point, and a number of stones fall at the same point, then the circles don't clash. they only reinforce and become stronger and stronger circles. So we need a common origin around which we all can rally around. And that common origin, the Vedic literatures point out, is that Supreme One. Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matthas sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. So, our Vedic literatures and the Vedic culture presents that common point around which all of the world can rally around. And if we recognize that the world belongs, usually, we have come across these kind of statements. The world belongs to us, or we belong to the world. Remember those kind of environmental. Both are wrong statements. The world belongs to the Lord, we belong to the Lord. If we recognize that, then that is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So, our Vedic culture provides a very sound understanding of these things. And Bhagavatam says, Jivasya tattva jignasa. The life should be aimed at understanding the truth about ourselves, the truth about the world. If that becomes the fundamental pursuit of all of human society, then we can create Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Today, the goal, the pursuit, the collective pursuit of everyone in the world has become amplifying and increasing sense enjoyment. Just the sense pleasure, increasing the sense pleasure to a heightened extent has become the goal of life. With economics, we want to heighten the pleasures of the senses. With culture, we want to heighten the pleasure of the senses. With education, with industry. In every field, we want to only heighten because we are under the mistaken impression. We don't know who we are. We think we are the body with the 5 senses, and we want to amplify the pleasures of these senses. Instead, if Tattva Jignasa becomes the fundamental goal, we can have industrial development, we can have cultural development, we can have all kinds of development in the human society with the goal of Tattva Jignasa. It's a new paradigm. Currently we think that only increasing and expanding our sense pleasure will bring about these things, but it will only bring more and more suffering. We all know that United Nations study. We think that the Western world is the standard of civilization, and it is proven that if the whole world embraces Western standards of living, we will need, I don't know how many, some 4 or 5 earths, and we only have 1 earth. The amount of steel the Western world consumes per capita, the amount of timber the Western world consumes per capita, the amount of energy the Western world consumes per capita, if the whole world was to suppose consume at that level, we simply cannot sustain this world. So we know that the Western model is a failing model. On the other hand, in our Vedic culture, we have a sustainable world which lasted for centuries and thousands of years, and people were very happy because they were absorbed in Tattva Jignasa. Not that they lived in abject poverty. It's not true. We can have good homes, we can have good dress, we can have good roads, we can have good housing, we can have all these things. But that is secondary. The primary should be Tattva Jignasa. And then it is truly possible to have Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. We can have 1 earth, 1 family, 1 future, one as our government and Prime Minister has envisioned. It's a great thought, and we are very happy to be here amidst all of you. with other illustrious scholars who will present from different other viewpoints. Namaste, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. I thank you for enlightening us with a deep insight on the topic Sanatan Dharma by stressing the commonality of spirit which makes us a true one family. Next, let us welcome Dr. Gururaj Karajagi. Let me briefly introduce him to you. Dr. Gururaj Karajagi is an educational expert and a motivational speaker of a great repute. He is nominated by the Government of India as an independent jury for the National Award to Teachers. He is also known for his daily spiritual discourses on Sri Shankara TV with over 500 programs on Dasa Sahitya and Vachana Sahitya. He is considered as an outstanding motivational speaker, and his YouTube channel Knowledge is Spherical has more than 4 crore views. Through the Academy of Creative Teaching, of which he is a chairman, Dr. Karajagi is the instrumental in building over 85 schools of high quality all over the world. His area of interest includes communication skill, motivation, work ethic, and human values. And today, he will be presenting his views on the topic, how the family values of Bharatiya Sanskriti helps to achieve the spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. World is one family. Over to you, sir.
I offer my pranams at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna and my pranams to all of you. I am grateful that I have an opportunity of sharing the dais with extraordinary speakers here, and that too on a topic which is very close to all of us, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. And I am asked to speak about the family values, how they lead to Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam concept. I start with what Prabhu mentioned about throwing a stone in a still pond. When you throw a stone in a still pond, huge lake, you have rings and rings of waves coming out. They're all concentric waves. This is a very beautiful phenomenon to watch. When the stone falls there in the pond, it's a small ripple. But it goes on spreading as it goes to the other side. And the rings become bigger and bigger and spread large areas. I think in all of Bhagavad Gita or Upanishads, especially the 6th mantra of Ishavasya, they all speak about who is a jnani, who is the realized soul. He says, the one who believes that all souls are within him and he is a part of all the souls. And he doesn't have sorrow because he believes that everyone is the same. And he will not be worried about what happens to him, and he is called a jnani. This is a very high peak. To get that realization that I am part of the whole universe and universe is part of me, realizing that is a big topic, big aspect. It's like a climbing the Mount Everest. It's a big peak. Nobody climbs the peak in one step. We have to climb step by step to reach that peak. Every step is important. Every step is important. And this is what we call rings of expansion of Atma. Atma Vikasa we call, Atma Vikasa. It starts with the self. It starts with the stone. When stone falls, the ripple starts. Me, a Jivi, is a stone. When I come into this universe of cosmos, the ripple starts with me as the center. A child is born in the family. This is very, very important. What the child learns in the family is very crucial factor about how he grows in life. A boy was born to a very poor family. The father was not there. The mother used to work as a maid servant elsewhere. And the boy, for a living, the boy used to work in a bakery. The boy worked in a bakery. You can imagine he is very hungry and he can see attractive things in the glass showcase. If you don't have anything eating before you, it's okay. But when you see nice things before you and you're still starving, the boy was wiping the floor and watching those cakes and breads in the showcase. One day decided, he tried to open this screw with his nails, was successful in doing that, took away 2 cakes, closed it back and went back home. Told his mother, I got 2 cakes for you. Mother patted his back and said, you should bring 4 more tomorrow. The boy took 4 more next day. Then how long are you going to eat cakes and biscuits only? He found a way of opening the cash box of the owner. When owner was not there, took the cash, he can purchase anything. He started taking money, and since money was less, his desires became more. He started looting people and finally robbed a bank, and he was in search of it, and he became an international crook. Finally, he was arrested in India, kept in a jail, released recently, and his name is Chanchalapathi Dasa. When he was brought before the court, the judge said, you should be punished for the mistake you have done. And Chanchalapathi Dasa told a very interesting thing. He said, before you punish me, you have to punish one more person. My mother. If she has slapped him in my face and said, why are you bringing cake like this? Work hard. From the salary you get the cake and bring it home. I would not have been Chanchalapathi Dasa today. He may be giving an excuse, I agree. But the atmosphere at home was important. Similar thing in India, Vishwanath Gupta and mother were traveling in the horse carriage with a little boy Narendra sitting between them. And it is a fad with most of the parents. He asked his son, what do you want to be when you grow up? The boy looked around and said, I want to be a Jatka Sabi. I want to be a chariot driver. And father said, look at your son. Normally we do that. There's a problem, we blame only the wife or saying, look at your son. He wants to be a charioteer. He wants to be a horse carriage driver. I thought he will be like an advocate like me. Mother did not say anything. She brought the child back home and took him to the puja house, puja place. And there was the picture of Vishwaroopa Darshana, Krishna giving Vishwaroopa to Arjuna there. And she tells her son, you wanted to be a Jatka Sabi? Be a Jatka Sabi, but like the one in the picture there. And points at Krishna. Compare these two. What happened to Vivekananda and what happened to Chanchalapathi Dasa? The family values in the childhood is most important. First it starts with that, me, myself. Then slowly he starts realizing I'm not alone. My brother is there, my sister is there, my father, my maternal uncle. Slowly, the circle I becomes we, my family, my members. And as the fellow grows, it changes from family to his town, or the area in which he lives. My village is so good. I lived in that village. Slowly his association with village goes. That means the circle is becoming wider and wider. Then talks about I belong to Karnataka. My language is Kannada. I am so proud about my language, proud about my land. But when I go outside India, I say I am part of India. I come from India. Slowly, as the person grows in mind and spirits, he starts thinking he is not just alone, he is a part of the whole world itself. And finally says that we are all human beings. We are all human beings. As Prabhu mentioned, we came from the same source and finally go to the same source. Therefore, we means not my family, not my town, not my city or my state or the country. It is the whole world. We are all together. And that's what Maha Upanishad says, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The 6th chapter of Maha Upanishad, the 71 sloka is that, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Such a beautiful concept is that I am not one alone, I am part of the whole thing. Once I realize that I am part of the whole thing, starts with the family. I am trying to emphasize. What are the family values? There are so many values you can list out. But the most important one I want to demonstrate today. I don't want to say, I have a small experiment to make. I'll make a small experiment and try to understand the family value through that. Is it okay? Yeah. I have to create a mic stand for myself. Yeah. I brought something here. I know that Prabhu will not allow me to hit a nail on the table. I brought a wooden piece. Oh, help me holding this? Okay. I have brought about 12 nails, not about, 12 nails exactly. They are not special nails, of the same size. One more nail is a bigger one, a thicker one and a taller one. I will hit this nail on this wood. Now the task before me is to balance all the 12 nails on the head of this nail. Looks impossible task. I have to put all 12 nails on the head of this nail, not one by one. I can keep one nail and keep, no, I have to keep all the 12 nails at the same time on the head of this nail. Looks difficult unless you have tried it before. It looks seemingly impossible. The head of the nail does not have so much space to balance all the 12 nails, but it is possible. No problem. Dr. Arathi is telling me, tell you not to watch the videos in the internet. I am doing it myself before you. I look at the internet. The 12 nails are to be arranged in a proper way. Since I don't have time, I have only 15 minutes for this. Otherwise, I ask some of you to come and try it here. Very difficult to do. Can you try? Since you are close by, you can try. That's the danger of being close. Yes, that's a good idea. But you have to balance only 12. Now you can hammer it a little more. You can try. Yeah. I'll give you a minute and a half to try. Oh. Yeah, that's difficult. Otherwise, I would not have brought it. If it is so easy. Very good. You have 11 more nails now. One is done.
If I'm going to balance that.
Yeah, try. Nothing wrong in trying. You can't use a magnet, you can't use a thread, you can't use the rubber band. Without doing anything, you have to do it. Okay. I agree that is difficult. I'll do it and I'll show you it is not difficult. It can be balanced very easily. I'll hammer this little strongly. Okay, fine. What I do is, please watch carefully, and if camera can be focused on that, it can be easy. Okay. What I'll do is, I'll arrange the nails properly on the table itself. I'll keep one nail like this, with the head on this side and a pointer on this side. Then I keep 5 nails. I'll take 5 nails, keep them in a particular way. On the nail, I keep them perpendicular to this, head on this side, pointer on the other side. All 5 nails, I'll keep it like that only. Why I'm saying is, managing family is not easy. And I've got some more nails now, 6 more nails. I'll keep 5 more nails in the opposite side. I have to balance the weight. Again, I keep the nails on the other side with the head on this side and the pointer on the other side alternately. Now the last nail. The first nail is kept like this with the head on this side and a pointer on the other side. Now I'll reverse it. I'll keep it on that. I hold only the lower nail and the upper nail and raise it like this. Now I bring it here. Forget it. Now all the 12 nails are balanced perfectly. If you don't touch it, it will stand for a century. It will stand for a century. Why did I do that exercise? This is a family. This is a family. Which nail is important in this? Which nail is more important in this? The vertical nail or any other nail? You touch any nail, the whole structure falls. Am I right? Therefore, in a family, who is important is not important. Everyone is important. I can't ignore anybody in family. I can't say, oh, old lady, she can't do anything. But she is the one who has given you wisdom into the family. I can't ignore anybody. Everyone is important. First lesson I learned in my family is, without them I would not have been here. They have been responsible for my being here, being comfortable, being educated. All that is important. Everyone is important. Secondly, if you observe carefully, this nail, vertical nail, is the most crucial nail on which all the 12 nails are balanced. And that is the philosophy of the family. That is trust. That is trust. Without trust, no family can survive. If the husband goes on suspecting his wife, wife suspects her husband, life is miserable. So therefore, we have to trust each one. Why I am telling this? These values will grow up with you. The values of trust is most important. Then look at these two nails. These two are called guiding nails, the lower one and the upper one. They are called guiding nails. Could be the father and the mother in the family. Watch carefully. If you watch carefully, the lower nail is not allowing the other nails to come closer. You see that? The lower nail will not allow the other nails to come closer. It is discipline. You have to be like this. And the upper nail will not allow them to go away. It's an interlock. The lower nail will not allow them to come closer. The upper nail will not allow them to go away. It is affection. Discipline and affection should go together in the family. If there's too much of discipline, it's not all right. Too much of affection is also not all right. I always say, like a potter making the pot. He keeps the clay on the pot wheel, the turning wheel, rotating wheel, and goes on tapping like this. If you see from outside, you see only one hand tapping the pot. But at the same time, he has kept his another hand inside at the same place. If the only inside hand were not to be there, he is only tapping from outside, the pot would collapse. If he only keeps his hand inside, the pot will go out of shape. Too much of affection pampers, too much of discipline stifles. So therefore, in the family, I understand love and discipline should go together. And secondly, most important here, each nail has a specific duty to do. Is it not right? Has a specific duty to do. Supposing these nails, why should I be on this side, I'll go on the other side? The structure falls. The whole thing is delicately balanced. We have seen that families, one word, one wrong sentence had destroyed the families. Is it not right? One wrong feeling of one person can destroy the family. Therefore, all of us have to understand what is our role in the family and stick to it. So therefore, everyone is important and everyone has a specific role. I can't do everything myself. So therefore, these are the family values. If they are taught properly in the childhood, the child grows up and those feelings that he received or the ideas they received in the family will become more augmented and more stronger. He becomes a most trustworthy person in the society, a trusting person, a person who knows discipline, value of discipline and love together. If he grows like that, he'll be most likable person in the society, and such people become leaders of the masses, leaders of the masses. And if that number increases, society becomes more prosperous and more happy. So therefore, if I'm thinking of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, I have to think of these values which are nurtured in the childhood itself. All great people learned their lessons in the childhood itself. Normally we say, if you want to know how you would be at the age of 80, if somebody want to know how you will be at the age of 80, ask your parents how you were at the age of 5. You'll go back to the same life. There's a beautiful statement, it's philosophical, it says, child is the father of man. What does that mean? You become child again. Whatever you are at the age of 5 will come back to you later on. In fact, I always give the example of my own grandfather. He came from absolute poverty. Absolute poverty. But when he grew up well. My father was the only son. He studied well, became the director of the state. We did not become rich, but we were not poor. My grandfather was at home, and my father would take care of him. You'll bring the new dhotis and new dresses, shirts and all that. You would know in your house, if you bring sari to your grandmother, say, why are you bringing sari? I don't require it. They don't require it all. My grandfather would promptly put the new dhotis in the bag and wear the old ones only. And even when it got torn, he will stitch it himself and wear it. My father would be angry, why are you doing this? You have got new dhotis, no, why don't you wear it? One day it became very worse, really bad. He was wearing the full shirt and walking around in the house and something stuck and got torn here. What should he do? He did not give it to a tailor. He himself became a tailor, made the full shirt into half shirt. He cut it and made it half shirt. And when he does it himself with the bad job, it looked like as if the rats ate it away. My father came back and said, why are you doing this useless thing? You know, torn shirt and you are again making it look bad. I told my father, don't shout at my grandfather. It's not his mistake. It's not his mistake at all. He's going back to his childhood. You must have seen in your families, old people at home will not allow you to put unnecessary light outside. Put off the light. Why are you putting light there? Am I right? Because they have seen the difficulty. The childhood haunts you, comes back to you. Therefore, if you want to shape a person's life or a person in society, a person in the world, the childhood should be upper. In Normally we say, if you are taken care of the child up to the age of 10, you are taken care for life. You are taken care for life. All these 10 years are brought in the family. And the family should teach the person love, affection, discipline, trust, and knowing my place in the family. When if I know my place in the family, I also know the place in my society. I don't go and sit in the first row if I'm not the chief guest. The DVG mentions that. DVG was a small child. There was a program in the house and there are some important places kept for guests coming there. DVG, a little fellow, 2.5 or 3-year-old fellow, went and sat there. And his grandfather told him, get up, go there, sit there, don't sit there. And people said, what is wrong? Child is sitting there. He doesn't know, poor child. He's a small child, he doesn't understand. The grandfather said, child doesn't understand, but I understand. Everyone should know his position in life. If I know this position in life, as the nails know now, our life will be beautiful. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam being meaningful only when I understand I treat everybody like me. Everybody is like me. I am affectionate to them. I understand my values. I trust everybody. Therefore, the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam principle starts with, as I told you, as Prabhu mentioned, throwing of a stone. I am a stone thrown in the ocean of life. The ripple starts from there, starts with me and becomes mine. It becomes ours, my state, my country, my world, my universe. And finally, the universe is made by that person, the great soul, what we call Paramatma. And we belong to Paramatma. When we belong to Paramatma, we are all one together. And that is the concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Thank you so much.
What a wonderful session. Thank you, Doctor, giving us so many examples and the demonstration to understand how important each member in the family is to bond the family. And I've understood and I realized I'm not the expert, but we have the expert over here, and I think we can learn a lot from him. Thank you, sir. Next, moving to the next speaker, we have Dr. V B Arathi. Dr. V B Arathi holds a MA and PhD in Sanskrit, Master in Music, and training in lay counseling. She has taught Sanskrit and atheistic in various universities of repute. Currently, she is an adjunct professor in humanities and founder of Viba Academy. She is a multifaceted personality with a strong learning towards performing art, Indian culture, and Indian philosophy. She hosts regular online courses and workshops to educate students across the world. She is an orator, writer, columnist, singer, instrumentalist, and is skilled in poetry and painting. She is a popular research person on Kannada radio and TV channels. Today she will be presenting her views on the topic, how the art and culture of our Bharatiya Sanskriti helps in achieving spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. World is one family.
Hari Om Tat Sat. My namaskars to Prabhuji. And this is a very great honor for me to come here in this very pavitra bhumi of Krishna. Because since I've been a child, even before this temple was built, we used to come here when the little hill and that shed kind of temple was there. So Krishna is my darling too, like everybody's darling. So this is a great place to come. And my son also comes here jumpingly today. He didn't come for the lovely sattvic food. So it's so nice to be here again and again. And of course, we heard two wonderful speakers. Both spoke from their experience, and that's really beautiful. So art and culture, coming to the concept of art in Bharata. The word Bharata itself is beautiful. Bhasi ramate iti bharatam. Bhas means light. We rejoice in light. And for us, light is a synonym for knowledge. You all know that. We usually use the word light as a synonym for knowledge and darkness as a synonym for ignorance. So, exploring light in every possible way in life is jnana, is jignasa, jnatumicha. And the whole Prakriti is Lakshmi for us. Everything has wonderful secrets. And with a very genuine urge, genuine curiosity, we go on exploring this world. There are so many rahasyas that come to us. This is what our rishis did. Today we are doing exactly the opposite. We sit inside a classroom and hold a textbook, and usually leftists write those textbooks, and they tell us how bad our past was, how weak we are, and when to fly off to America. So destination America is the dream given. What am I? What is life around me? This is the freedom, the motivation to research within and without, in our own way, in our own very independent way, is heavily missing in our education system today. Coming to art, I think somewhere if that freedom exists today, because we're all knowingly or unknowingly the molds of Macaulay education system. I don't call it English education, Indian education at all. It's Macaulay education system. But there is one domain, fortunately, which is art, which is Kala. Because this Macaulay education has dismissed of art as not core subject, just a time pass hobby thing. Do it when you have time, or you'll not lose anything by not learning any art. So by dismissing of the whole of our Kala Prapancha, there are hundreds, I think I'm discounting the number, it will be thousands or lakhs of varieties of arts. Just in Karnataka, you have hundreds of dance forms, hundreds of music forms. We don't know. We know only one Bharatanatyam, one Yakshagana, because we are not taught. The traditions have suffered because of loss of patronage. But still, that is one domain where this intervention has not happened, and that is where you feel the real heartthrob of Indian culture. You go to a guru, do a namaskar, give some fruits, and fall at the feet and introduce yourself and sit at the feet and learn Sangeetam, dance, art, Chitrakala. I'm learning sculpture also now. It's a different experience. The Guru-Shishya bond that happens, it's like you sit at the feet of your teachers like Prabhuji, and with great affection they're telling you what is in Bhagavatam, what is in Bhagavad Gita. They tell about their gurus. So that bonding is very beautiful. So art, the learning of art at the very first step, the learning of art itself is a great way to bond people. And then the experience of art. The next thing is not performance. Today we have, many of us art teachers know that. People call, parents call, look, there's a reality show and we have applied for that. Can you train my daughter or son in 6 months, 2 months? So art is not about performing. Art is about experiencing. A real artist, he or she practices for years and years, hours and hours. And the performance, the concert happens for 2 hours someday, once in a month. It's like a window into what is there inside. So art is a wonderful experience. In our parampara, we call this Rasananda, or the joy of art, as Brahmananda Sodaraha, the brother of Brahmananda. It is Brahmananda itself. Shishurveti, Pashurveti, Veti, Gana Rasam Pani. So everybody, a poisonous snake, an ordinary baby, a child which doesn't even know what the world is, just opening its eyes, or a big pandita, or a foreigner, anybody responds to music, responds to dance, any beautiful moment. I am reminded of the realization of art was once explained by none other than the great professor S.K. Ramachandra Rao-ji. Somebody asked him in such a seminar, I was sitting out there, and they asked him, he was a great artist, great sculptor, great musician, musicologist, a very great psychologist, many things. He was a genius. So they asked him, what is the influence of art in a person's life? Apart from being a good artist, performing well and getting the joy of art, he told a very beautiful thing. He said, if music seeps into you, not just as an art form or a talent or a hobby, but it seeps into your psyche, then your speech will become musical. Your speech will have the ring of music. It will be so pleasant, people will want to listen to you on and on and on. That is the siddhi of music, he said. And what is the siddhi of dance? The idea of the beauty of movements, the beauty of expression has seeped into your psyche so well that when you walk, your body language itself will become extremely beautiful. Not that you have to speak with hastas and mudras, but there will be a grace which is outstanding. And he says, if you are a painter, if you are a sculptor, if you are an artist of any stream, the realization of art will translate as beauty in your speech, in your work, in your expression, in everything that you do. So art is a realization. So this is what is the approach to art in our Indian system. There's a very interesting thing about our Shastras. You pick up any Shastra, not just Vedanta, Agama, Darshanas. You pick up Krida, you pick up Paka Shastra, cooking, you pick up Kama Shastra, you pick up Tarka Shastra, logic, you pick up anything and everything, Ashva Shastra, training of horses, Gaja Shastra, training of elephants, botany, zoology, anything, the pure Indian Shastras. There will be an Anubandha Chatushtaya in the beginning, Prayojana, Sambandha, all that will be there. So there they tell of the Prayojana. What is the use of this? What is the scope of this? Without fail, the first thing mentioned is apavarga, that is moksha. This gives you moksha. By training horses, how can I get moksha, you may ask. The Macaulay mind asks. But if we are conditioned in the Indian thought line, we never ask, because karma yoga. Kayakave kailasa anta Basaveshwara heltare. Kayaka, karma yoga. Whatever we do, anything we do, it's not about what we do, but how we do. So this realization, this darshana of seeing beauty in everything. What I especially love about ISKCON is this. Everything is so beautiful to the eye. And it's divine. You go to a mall, the kind of decoration there is, of course it's also beautiful, but that's different. But there's an element of Krishnatva here. There's a beauty here. When I say la 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 la, it's nice, it's just a beautiful tune. But when I say Krishna 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 Chandraya Mangalam, the feel is different. You see? So munching on burgers or sandwich elsewhere is different. But go to the Hall of Divinity there and munch on this ISKCON Sattvic food, it's different. So this is the Indianness that is very, very interesting. The same nada. You take our Carnatic music, for example, there'll be just 4 lines, just 4 lines. If you write them down, it'll be just 4 lines or sometimes even 2 lines. But they will sing that for 2 hours. If you go to Hindustani music, it is all the more. 1 line will be sung for 3 hours. So if you want to look for that sahitya, if you don't have a script, I usually joke, I say it's like Madam Curie getting radium from loads and loads of ore. So there is so less of sahitya, but still that little sahitya means a lot. Like Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to say, you put any number of zeros, they have no value. You put 1 before the zeros, then all those zeros, their value multiplies. Similarly, that one is very important. That one is divinity. That is Krishna. That is Bhagavan. That is the Lord. If that adds to Kala, immediately the approach of Kala changes. Kala becomes a divine Nadopasana. It becomes a Nutyopasana. We call our artists as Nada Yogi, Nritya Yogi, Kala Yogi, Shilpa Yogi. Our titles are like that. Yoga is Yujyate iti yoga. Where do we connect to join? Yujyate means to join. Where do we connect? We connect to the divinity, to the ultimate, to the Param Brahma. So this concept is extremely beautiful. A true artist is not one who thinks I should perform on stage and how many people have come here and how much they clapped and what is the review next day on the newspaper. This is not art. This is not art. I usually say an artist is different from a performer. An artist is just an artist. The moment you are on stage or you are in the practice hall, you connect to music, you connect to dance, you become music. The body, the mind, the intellect, everything just sublimates into the art. We should not even realize where we are. It's kind of a parakaya pravesha. Bharata Muni himself in the Natya Shastra talks about 4 types of abhinayas. In that he talks about sattvika abhinaya. Aharya is costume and Angika is movement of limbs and all that, different hastas and all that. And then we have vachika, all the sound and lyrics and music, everything. And then you have the sattvika. Many dancers don't understand what is sattvika abhinaya because of Macaulay education influence again. What is sattvika abhinaya? Sattva means substance. What we are. So I think of myself as just Arathi, just a female, just an Indian. My Aadhaar card identity comes in front of me, how much of money I have in my bank account, and who is my friend, who is my enemy, all these things. I suffocate within the frame of this mortal identity and I'm still dancing. So I don't become Radha. If I just shed this identity of Arathi and become Radha, then the Radha will actually express through me. The same viraha I show, the same love I show is wonderful. You want to see a Nritya Yogini like that, please watch the great Padma Subramaniam ji. You see her. You really have to see her. She once performed a Bhagavad Gita here in Bangalore. I was wondering, because I was a dancer myself also. We need a lot of narration to depict in dance. But here, I was wondering what she will depict, because Bhagavad Gita is pure philosophy, just 2 characters. But she did a wonderful job. We forgot that she's a woman. As long as she was on stage, we were in Kurukshetra, we were listening to Krishna speaking to Arjuna. That was wonderful because she forgets who she is. So this kind of a sublimating into the art is a great feature which all our artists were taught in the Guru Parampara. Today also we have such great teachers, and such artists will connect to the whole world. We had a great phenomenal artist called Balamurali Krishna. Once somebody asked him in Bengaluru, how did you enter the world of music? He said, I didn't enter the world of music, music enters me. He said, so beautiful. So to open up, Kala is a beautiful way to open up not just to the world, not just to Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. When we say world and creation, we are thinking of only earth. But actually, it's Brahmanda. It is the whole of universe, what even our telescopes cannot see. It's much, 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 and it's dynamic, they say. It's growing. Many things are coming up. So this expanse of the world, okay, we should sublimate into that. And the first way is art. Because what is Adhyatma? To shed the ego of I am a person, I am this. To shed that ego. The moment I become Rama, I am trying to become Rama himself. I forget my mortal things. I become Krishna, I become Radha, I become the Nada when I am singing. It's just alapana, but I become the Nada. So the Nada Rasa, the Nritya, the beauty of Nritya, the beauty of sculpture, the beauty of painting, I do a little bit of painting. And the lines, they many times I don't even hear when my husband calls. He is angry, he is annoyed. It takes us like that. It's so absorbing. It's so absorbing. Even a simple bhajan, when they sing Hare Krishna here, the same 2 lines. ಬೇರೆ ಏನೋ ಹೇಳಲ್ವಾ ಇಸ್ಕಾನಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಯಾರೋ ನನ್ನ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಬಟ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಇಸ್ ಸೋ ಇಂಟಾಕ್ಸಿಕೇಟಿಂಗ್. ರಾಮ ರಾಮ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಕೃಷ್ಣ. You know, this is art, that nada can sublimate, can dilute our ego and take us to a higher identity. And that identity is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Vasudha is just Bhumi. Going ahead, it can take us to Brahmananda Eva Kutumbakam. The stars, the planets, the constellations are also a part of our existence. We are a part of the whole thing. We are a speck in this beautiful creation. And that speck is not a small thing, because it's like they give the example of the Upanishads give the, I think the Brihadaranyaka, Yagnivalkya tells his wife Maitreyi that like the salt doll, he says. The salt doll, the salt comes from the ocean, of course, and the salt doll goes back to find the depth of the ocean. What happens? Nothing remains. Nobody remains to tell what happened. The identity is completely merged. So the more we go into Krishna, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa also says, Radha used to say Krishna, 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 and she was dancing in Mahabhava, and she reached a state where she forgot that she is Radha. That Radhatva merged into Krishna, and she was dancing saying Radha, 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 Radha. So another gopi shook her and said, hey, you are saying Radha, Radha? She said, oh, I thought I am Krishna. Okay, that me, that aham was washed out. So this is what Kala gives us. This is what music, dance, any form of art can give you. So I take this opportunity with the permission of Shri Prabhuji to tell you, to please request you very humbly that please train your kids in any form of Bharatiya Paramparika art. It's become a fashion to say my child is learning Spanish, German. Okay, learn, but learn Sanskritam. Read Bhagavatam, read Bhagavad Gita. Learn any type of art across the world, no problem. Even I play the keyboard, that's okay. But first learn Bharatiya Sangeeta, Bharatiya Nritya, Bharatiya Shilpa. We are giving training in Bharatiya Shilpa through our academy also. So we are bringing in those wonderful Paramparika Kala artists who have no base these days. You can protect the art, you can learn, you can enjoy, and that gives you not just the joy of being an artist, but the joy of connecting to the world of art, which is nothing but Bhagavan. It is the Lord Himself. So this divine aspect of art, Indian art, is what is so beautiful, where an artist doesn't become just an artist, but an artist becomes a Kala yogi. So a yogi is one who connects to the higher identity, that is the identity with the whole of the creation, and beyond that, the Paramatman, who is the Chaitanya of the whole of creation. So that is why Kala is a yoga, and that's the best way to expand beyond all mortal bonds. So thank you. I think I took more time. Sorry. Namaste. Dhanyawad.
Thank you, ma'am, on giving your deep insight on art and culture. Today I got to know that art is just not about performance, which is for 6 months or a year or two. It's a lifelong journey. And connecting this with the divine makes an artist a yogi, which brings the entire world as a one family. Thank you, ma'am. That was Dr. V B Aarti. Our next speaker, I would like to welcome Srimati Saiswaroopa Iyer. Srimati Saiswaroopa Iyer is an author of 5 best-selling novels, all based on ancient Indian woman protagonist. She works as an assistant professor at Chanakya University and teaches creative writing and entrepreneurship. Apart from writing her own books, she also mentors upcoming writers in their literary journey. Mahabharata and Indic history and philosophy being her phased area. She seeks to see more of these themes, makes her presence in the popular creative form that celebrates Indian civilization. She's also a curator at Indica Book. She was awarded the Stree Shakti Award by Shri Shankara TV for her contribution to Indian literature. She holds an MBA from IIT Kharagpur and has a brief stint with IT startups and venture capital sectors. She is also a trained classical singer and has won a gold medal from Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam for rendering Amacharya Kritis. Today, she will present her views on the topic, how Indian language and literature helps in achieving spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. World is one family. Over to you, ma'am.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Shri Matre Namaha. It's an honor to be speaking on this dais. It's a privilege to share the same stage with illustrious speakers, gurus, artists, like the three eminent people beside me. And now the tricky situation is I happen to be the youngest, I guess, and the last. And when my turn comes, I realize that everything has been spoken and everything has been, and I should leave you to kind of ruminate over the wonderful message that each of them has passed, rather than add to it. But representing language and literature, so that was a very beautiful definition of Bharata as the Bhasi Ramate iti Bharataha. I know there are different interpretations of Bharata, and it's important that we revise all of them, especially in this crucial year where India holds the G20 presidency. And even after the term is done, I think we should continue that pioneering of narrative that can save not just India but the whole world. So Bharata, it comes from the Vishnu Purana, right? The geographical definition of Bharata, right? It says the land to the south of the sea, to the south of the Himalayas and to the north of the sea is Bharata, and the children of that land are Bharati. Then it describes the Vishnu Purana, it describes the geographical diversity of India. It describes various rivers, hill ranges, kingdoms. There were 16 Mahajanapadas during the time the Vishnu Purana was composed, and then there are smaller Janapadas. Then why this common name Bharata, Bharati, right? So, who is Bharata? Anyone? Rama's brother Bharata. Any other Bharata? Dushyanta's son, Shakuntala's son Bharata. And there is a Jada Bharata, who is a great philosopher. Like many Ramas and Srinivasas in our life, my neighbor is one Srinivasa, and there's one. So when you ask who is Srinivasa, I cannot say my neighbor, right? So all the names. So who is the root Bharata? I heard a pravachana by a scholar named Brahmashri Samavedam Shanmukha Sharma. He says the Bharata is actually Agnihotra. He has the Bharatva, he has the Ramanatva. Right? He takes our offering, Agni, in the Yajna, during the Yajna, he takes our offerings and he carries them to the gods, and he, on our behalf, he pleases the gods and ensures that the gods bless us. Bharata is united by this spirit of Yajna. So that's why the same Vishnu Purana says, what are the common characteristics? Tapastapyanti bunayoho. Juhyate chapi ajjinaha, danani chatra diyamte paralokartham adarat. Yes, 16 kingdoms, some hill kingdoms, some river kingdoms, some seashore kingdoms, some plain kingdoms. So how are they kind of so united? Because we believe in the same concept, in the root concept of paraloka. We believe that this loka where we are in is temporary one. And there is something higher which is to be achieved at the end of this life. That is a common belief shared by the Bharatiyas. That's why we are not totally attached to whatever we earn. We give dana. We give dana believing that somebody else needs what we have. And we are leaving this world, so let us give. Danani chatra diyamte. Juhvate chapi yajjinaha. Yes, because we need the paraloka, we need to keep the gods happy. It's not something a transactional relationship like I do puja. Today Mother Saraswati is very happy with me. She makes me say wonderful things in front of you. Tomorrow I don't do puja. How many of my students are there in the... Yeah, tomorrow I don't puja and she makes me mess up the class. So it's not that transactional. It's about the connection. The yajna is always about the connection to the permanent, connection from the temporary to the permanent. And this is the message propagated by the Satkavis. The great poets of India propagate this message in various ways, beautiful ways, localized ways, and our RTG recollected all the folk arts, all the classical arts, Deshiya, Margiya, everything. They say the same message to unite us by this belief. The spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Kutumba has a common destination, right? It kind of, even if one son goes to America, the other daughter goes to Delhi, second son remains in Chennai or something like that, the Kutumba is expanding, right? Whatever is done is for the welfare of the Kutumba. As long as that spirit is maintained, you can go, anywhere and come back enriched with the learning and enrich your family. Maybe enrich that part of the world where you visit with the knowledge that your family gave you. And that becomes a part of your family too. That is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So one small example, I know many of you may be hungry, so I'll try to cut it short. One small example of how the Kavya tradition of India simplifies the messages from the Shastra. Right? I'll take the example of Bhagavad Gita, the Puranas, and the beautiful Telugu Kavya called Andhra Mahabhagavatam by Bammira Potana Amatya, who existed in 14th century. Okay? So this Bhagavad Gita shloka says, Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janah paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. So whoever thinks of me alone, leaving everything else, I will take care of him. That's I know it's a very poor translation, Prabhuji, but yeah, have I covered it properly? So Krishna is there to take care of people who surrender to him, right? It's a message, it's Krishna saying it and it's Vyasa rendering it. Nothing to question in that. But still there are times where we get that doubt, right? Facing so many, there is a deadline coming in the office, so, I have to submit something, then at the same time, my husband also has a deadline coming, then the daughter is, she decides to fall sick at that particular time, so one of us have to stay at home. So we can't decide who it is to stay at home. And then we think, where's Krishna now? Where I need him the most, right? No, I just gave a very everyday example. There are people with greater miseries in life. There are people with lesser miseries. There are people, different people have different tolerance limits. But the feeling of needing divine blessing at the time of need is the same, right? Now, go to the Purana and Itihasa, right? You have n number of examples of gods coming to the rescue of devotees. Prahlada, how many dangers he faced and how many times he got saved. Just the whole Bhagavata is full of such examples, right? In each katha, when the when a scholar tells you that katha, or when a singer or a dancer depicts that katha, it gives us that assurance. Now, the kavya takes it to a new level. So we were just discussing with Arathi ji, the Shastra is Prabhu Samhita. It just declares. It doesn't care to prove or anything like that. Shastra declares like a Prabhu. Itihasa is Suhrud Samhita. Right? Because Itihasa, the writers of Itihasa know that the men are not perfect. We all keep committing mistakes, but there will be a rishi or something in that story, or someone in that story who goes to this protagonist and say, yes, I know something wrong happened, but this is the corrective action. Whole Vanaparva of Mahabharata is full of that. The rishis, the Pandavas, they lost their kingdom, and the rishis who visit the Pandavas, they give them a lot of courage. First, the Sankhya Yoga, kingdom, why are you worrying over the kingdom? The body is temporary. This misery is also temporary, right? First, detach yourself from that, miserable state of mind. Now, don't stay there, think of the action. Right? So, if you read the Vanaparva, each rishi comes with a different story from the history of the Pandavas. Like, there is the story of Nala Damayanti, where he says, Nala, he lost his kingdom, then he forgot who he is, he left his wife went somewhere else, he went somewhere else, he was afflicted with a disease, and look at you, Yudhishthira, your brothers are with you, your wife is with you, hundreds of rishis are visiting you every day, and you are living in this Dvaitavana, where, Dvaitavana, it is said, wherever you go, you hear the Veda mantra. That so many ashramas are there. So it's not that kind of miserable life. You are getting to live this very spiritually elevated life. You be thankful to your cousins. Right? So that, and now think of action. Yes, send Arjuna to do his tapasya, do your war strategy, because it's not sitting silent is not dharma. So that's how Itihasa teaches, because it knows that the people are not perfect. So it takes a perspective and says, what is the corrective action from now on? And Kavya is Kanta Samhita. It connects to the emotive part of human mind. So we took the example of Yogakshemam Vahamyaham, right? Now how does Potana illustrate the relationship of a devotee and God in his episode of Gajendra Moksham? He takes a lot of liberty from the way, Bhagavan Vedavyasa has beautifully written. So Gajendra is a king of elephants. I mean, he is ego personified, and I'm not telling it in a negative manner. He has that strength, he has that power. When the crocodile comes and, catches his leg, he thinks it will go away. Let it bite and go away. Anyways, the crocodile is not going to harm me much. He continues to play with his she-elephants and, And then after some time he realizes, okay, this crocodile is not leaving what to do. And after some time, okay, let me stop having fun and let me get rid of this. And then he finds that he is totally weakened against that crocodile. I'm Gajendra, the king of elephants, and there's this stupid crocodile that I'm not able to get rid of. And then his wife reminds him that when things go beyond you, you have to seek out to something beyond you. Seek out to Lord Narayana. So in Potana's version, the starting of Gajendra Moksha is very intellectual. He says, Evvari che janinchu jagam evvani lopalanundu leenamai. I'll translate it. Evvani andudindu parameshwarudevvadu, moola karanam bevvadu, anadi madhya layudevvadu, sarvamu tanaina vadevvadu, vanin atmabhavun sharanamu vedadan. Very intellectual description of God. Who is the source of all these worlds? Who sustains these worlds? Who destroys these worlds? And in all these, who is the Lord? Who is the supreme being? And who is everything? Who is in that crocodile? Who is in me? Atma Bhava. I bow down to him. Right? Very descriptive, rich. Nothing is wrong in this. You know, it's actually very elevating to chant this. Time passes. There is this whole intellectual prayer to the Lord is done. Then he says another poem where he says, Sandehamaye Karunavarthi. Vinudata Jivula Matalu, Chanudata Chanarani Chotla, Sharanarthula Koyanudata, Pilichina Sarvamukanadata, Sandehamaye Karunavarthi. I'm calling you from that time, giving all descriptions of your greatness. And I heard that you hear to everyone's prayers, you see everyone's plight, and when there is a Sharanarthi, you say yes and come immediately. Now I'm getting a doubt if that is all correct or not. Then there is that doubtful phase. We all experience that, right? That is the magic of Kavya. It connects to the person and then depicts, makes that person discover himself in the protagonist. So here we discover ourselves in Gajendra. And then he comes into this complete surrender. I don't know whether I'm going to live or not. You are going to save me or not. It's only, if anybody can save me, it is you. So this, I'm done. My physical strength is at 0. My hope is at 0. My mental abilities are at 0. Now I don't know what to do. And even I have sent out a prayer also. So it's you. If you decide to do anything, you decide to save me, you do it. Otherwise, let me die. That is the total surrender. Ananyas chintayanto mam, yejanah paryupasate. That is the state where Gajendra reaches that point of total surrender. And then, legend has it that Potana had a writer's block at this point because he had to write about Vishnu coming. How does Vishnu come? There is a visibility issue. It's a legend talked about by many scholars. Some skeptics may doubt it, but as a practicing devotee or a practicing Hindu, I consider that episode really sacred. So Potana, he's a farmer and Kavi, actually. So he takes a break. He says, I'm not able to continue. What will Vishnu? Why? Okay, yeah, I composed this whole thing, the whole thing, because I wanted Gajendra to connect to the common person who reads this Bhagavata. What is Vishnu doing all this while? And how does he come? So he took a break. So let me go do some farming and come back. Then he tells his daughter, a 10-year-old girl, that I'm taking a break, I'll just go to the field and come back. Then the daughter says, yes, okay. She closes the door, then there is a knock on the door afterwards. Then she sees her father back. Then, what happened? Yeah, I got an idea. I'll quickly write it and then go to the field. So, okay. So he writes 2 poems and then goes back. Then again, the daughter opens the door, her father is back, and he is like really disappointed. I don't know, I think this Bhagavatam will stop here because I'm not getting how to continue. It's like, you came here and wrote 2 poems and went. It's like, I didn't come back. So Potana goes and sees what are those 2 poems that. One beautiful poem. The one poem describes what Vishnu was doing. Alavaikuntha Purambulo, Nagarilo, Amula Saudhambulo. There's a beautiful description of Vaikuntha. Only a person who was residing at Vaikuntha would describe that. And Vishnu was engaged in a Shringara with Lakshmi at that moment. That is the moment he heard the plea of Gajendra. And then, in that moment, Sirikin Cheppadu, he doesn't tell Lakshmi what is happening, that Gajendra is calling me. Shankha Chakra Yugamul Chedoi Sandhimpadu. He doesn't take the Shankha and Chakra. Sirikinchappadu Shankha Chakra Yugumul Chedoyi Sandhippadu. E Parivarambunu Chiradu. I mean, like he is in the lake actually, you know, they are having a, you know, very romantic bath together. He is not asking for anybody to bring his uttariya or anything, his ornaments, nothing. Abhrakapatin Mannimpadu. He hasn't called Garuda also. And he's just rushed. Akarnikantara Thammillamu Chakkanottadu. Like his curls, his curly hair, it's all you know, falling on his face. He's not even taking a moment off to, you know, part that hair onto his. Vivada Prodhita Shri Kuchopari Chelanchalamaina Vidadu. At that moment, he was actually pulling at Lakshmi's sari. He didn't leave it. He hurried out, dragging her along with him. You know, Gajaprana Vanotsahiyai. That is his urge to save Gajendra. That he's forgotten everything, right? He's forgotten to take Shankha Chakra. He's forgotten to call Garuda. He's forgotten to call his Parivara. He's forgotten to leave Lakshmi and tell her. And Lakshmi is thinking, what is happening? Why is he dragging me? Where is he dragging me? And then Garuda is like, where are they going? I mean, maybe they'll need me. Garuda is running. The Dwarapalas, everybody is like, what is happening? Then Shiva and Brahma, they are looking at, where is he? I mean, is he running away from someone? Then it's over for all of us. No, let's go with wherever he goes, to wherever he goes. Indra, I was like, okay, when I get any problems, I go run to Vishnu. If Vishnu is running away, so you know, what is the point of staying in the Swarga? So it's the rishis. You know, it's like, where is the entire cosmos headed to? They follow this whole group. And then they see that it's an elephant. It's a normal elephant, not even some rishi or a king or this one, calling because it could not, you know, get rid of a crocodile called Vishnu, and this guy ran all the way, dragging everything, every god, every rishi behind him. And that is the way Kavya describes this beautiful relationship between the Bhagavan and the Bhakta. Right? And that is how it connects. It connects not just the Vasudha, you know, it connects us with our ancestors, it connects us across times. The Kavya connects us across times, and it connects us to the timeless. So that is my humble submission, and following Artiji's request, I request all of you, you know, go to your the Sanskrit sources, yes, but even the sources in your mother tongue, the Dasarapada or Annamacharya Kritis or the Kirtanas, just start anywhere else and anywhere and start teaching your children, start learning and start experiencing rather than performing as she suggested, and the magic of Bhagavan Vyasa, the magic of Krishna will take you in. That's it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I was unaware that language and literature is a vast area to know. I could get to know today as what is the root of our Bharativarsh. So wonderful examples from Bhagavad Gita, Purana, Itihasa, and how well they are connected. Thank you, ma'am. So that brings us the completion of the next this session, which was the speaker discussion. Now we're going to go into the next area, which is the panel discussion. Let me introduce our moderator, Dr. Sandeep Nair. Dr. Sandeep Nair is an associate professor and registrar at Chanakya University. He holds MA and PhD in economics, management study, and communication. Prior to Chanakya University, Dr. Sandeep was the dean of the academic of Jain Group of Institutions Management College, Belgaum. Dr. Sandeep has an experience of over 26 years in teaching, training, and consultancy sector. I request you to go ahead and help us in conducting the panel discussion. Keeping the time in the mind, we'll have 10 minutes of panel discussion and followed by 2 questions from audience. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pranamams to all. Truly an honor and a bliss to be here. I've been experiencing this joy of learning so much. Considering the time that we have and the kind of enormous scholarship we have on the dais, I'll keep it very short, briefly summarizing their presentation and then presenting a certain observation for clarification. It's been a historic opportunity. Modern day thinkers state that we are in the times today, the world is in a time described as Barney, brittle, anxious, non-linear, and incomprehensible. That's the nature of the world today as management thinkers think. In that time of history, India has got to be leading the G20 Summit, and Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is a theme that has come forward. In this context, it's very nice to understand, how does the modern world of consumerism look at the world? Capitalism or consumerism looks at the world as a market. If you look at socialism, it looks at the world as a workshop. So how do we actually look at the world as a family? May I commence this interaction by posing to Prabhuji for a clarification, an amazing perspective on how we seek the uniformity or commonality amongst us. How as a Pandita looks at what's uniform or common amongst us, which helps us in feeling the unity of being. Prabhuji, if I may present this question, I think when we study the contemporary society, every day the differences are getting exaggerated. Over thoughts, over ideas, over beliefs, over politics, I think the differences are just emerging. In this context, what exactly as students, as homemakers, as professionals, as teachers, we should be actually doing in trying to connect to the Godhead, connect to the commonality, connect to what is common amongst us? What should we be specifically doing to begin this journey? Have we left the journey of spirituality to the sannyasis? How do we internalize it as a common people?
Krishna says in the Gita, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmaram yudhyacha. We should think of Krishna and do our duty. So whether one is a homemaker or a professional or whatever, one should do all of those duties that we are expected to perform and also remember Krishna. Sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmaram. And the best way to remember Krishna, as given in the Shastra, is to chant his holy names, and that is why we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. As our Purandara Dasa also has sung, when we are cooking, when we are taking care of our children, always chant the names of Krishna. And in this way, we can be connected to that one supreme divine being.
Thank you. May also, I am compelled to ask this question. We have an understanding that perhaps as a community, have we lost out on a deliberate understanding of our religion or Dharma? Have we ignored the understanding or learning of Dharma? In that context, what would you specifically suggest that we would do to enlighten, enrich our generation, ourselves, in more religious education, if I may say so?
Yes, certainly in modern times, we are forgetting God. We are disconnected and become more engaged and involved with the temporal world. And so our families should teach us, art and culture should teach us, and literature should teach us how to be connected with the Lord. Actually, all art, all culture, all language, all literature should be used in the glorification of the Lord. One of the names of Krishna is Uttama Shloka, one who is described by excellent poetry. So, Lord is all glorious, and his all human attempts of art and culture should be to delineate and extol that greatness of the Lord. And that way we are entertained and at the same time sublimated in the divine.
Dhanyavad. Thank you, Swamiji. That's a very important lesson for all of us. I think it should start with us. Dr. Karajagi sir, it's always such a pleasure to listen to you. On family values, very beautifully you demonstrated what is almost considered as impossible. And you also brought back the essential element of family as a center of all that we do. Family is a factor of formative growth. May I ask you, sir, when we look at the world around us, the whole structure of family itself is under threat. It's being redefined, it's being reviewed, we know that it's under threat. Now, how do we address this issue? I mean, should you think, or do you believe that we need to educate, there should be a formal understanding of the structure of family, what is it meant for? How do you see a way out of this, sir?
Yeah, in fact, we all feel that the family structure is slowly becoming weaker and weaker because I is becoming stronger. The first philosophy of family is we, not I. In fact, we had a joint family. I don't use the word, I don't like the word joint family because joint is where it leaks. Any vessel leaks at the joint only. It is a coexisting, all families stayed together. When you stay together, the sharing was there. It's a question of my child, my son, my daughter. My is becoming stronger. I'll take half a minute to explain that. Why it is happening? It is not going to be a permanent phenomena. Please remember, the whole human existence goes through cyclic operations. Go to the Vedic times. Who was our hero? Who are the heroes of Vedic times? Rishis. None of them stayed in the city. Stayed on the banks of the river, built their ashramas, but the kings and princes went to sit at their feet and learn. The mighty king Dasharatha could not say no to Vishwamitra when he asked him to send his 2 sons. There was the power of wisdom at that time. It was wisdom-dominated world at that time. Come little further in Mahabharata times, Indian systems. Who are the heroes of Mahabharata? Bhishma, Drona, Ashwatthama, Kripacharya, Arjuna, Karna, all warriors only. What was the Brahmin Dronacharya doing there? Not teaching Upanishad, but teaching warfare. Even the great Kripacharya, the Purohita, went to war. It was one of the 4 people who survived. And what was the tribal boy Ekalavya? He did not want to become like Vedavyasa, who lived there at that time, wanted to be like Arjuna. That means Valor was the icon at that time. Wisdom model had become heroism at that time. Before independence, who are our heroes? All freedom fighters. Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, Sukhdev, all of them were heroes. And one call to the nation to sacrifice for the nation, people sacrificed. After independence, I tell you, in each era of human existence throws up a model. People living during that time want to emulate that model. Now after independence, unfortunately, I don't know, unfortunately or whatever, rich man has become a role model. And everybody want to be rich at that time as much as possible, as quickly as possible, and at any cost. The third is dangerous. You want to be rich at any cost, it is normally at the cost of values. When the values start corroding, the family structure becomes weak. Values are not important, because I told you, the basic value of family was togetherness. We together. But we becomes I now. But it will not remain permanently. I am very, very confident. We are born at the transition time, we are complaining. Maybe 50 years from now, you can see none of the icons have remained permanent. This icon of rich man will also not stay permanent. But during this time, we have to hold our breath now. And those who have to say, if sometime later, 50 years later, somebody asks, what is the family value? Somebody should be able to stand up and say, this is the family value. For that, we have to nurture. And for that, organization like ISKCON and others are more useful. Telling them, family is more important. Why are you talking the family life of Krishna? Krishna, the way he grew up with all the children, friends together. The family unit was so strong. Yashoda and Nanda, they were all living so happily. That means happiness was not a function of money. Therefore, slowly and slowly it will come. But though we say the family structures are crumbling, because money is dominating too much. But once that influence comes down, effect will be much better. Family unit will come back. I'm positive about it.
Thank you. I deeply appreciate the positive note on you. Now we understand how the world considers you motivational. So there's one more point you made about duty and rights consciousness. We are living in times of excessive rights consciousness. Perhaps we need to be more duty conscious in order to be a more evolving society.
Exactly. Yeah. We are emphasizing too much on my rights rather than my duties. And in family, you know, when we were children, when any guest comes to our house, it was a job for the younger one to spread the bed, put it properly, keep water there. We didn't have the luxury at that time, but on the floor only, put a nice bed and put water there for them to drink and press their feet. It was not an insult to us. It is a part of our life and we took it so joyously. In fact, I remember a very great man used to come to our house, great person at that time, Joshi. He used to come to our house. He was a great RSS leader at that time. And it was my pleasure to press his feet. And I took pleasure in doing that. And it was my duty. And my father said, it's my duty, it's my duty. Everybody knew this. We never charged it as my right to do it. So duties were properly distributed. And in family, one thing most important we had to do is, we blame the children for not having culture. I think we should stop that. Because you got culture because your parents taught you. If the children do not have it, means I have not taught my children properly. If the parents start teaching their children properly the values, not teach values, demonstrate values, because values are not taught. Values are demonstrated. Shall we do a small exercise, Prabhuji? If you all agree? Shall we do a small exercise? All of you agree? 30-second exercise. All of you please do what I say. Alright? Please do exactly what I say. Don't change from there. Do exactly what I say. Raise your right hand. Fold your fingers into a fist. Slowly bring your hand forward. Stretch your forefinger. Only one finger. Forefinger. And very quickly keep this on the left cheek. See where you kept your finger. I told left cheek. And all of us know what is cheek and what is chin. Since I am facing you, I could see quite a large number kept the finger here. I had told you twice before, please do as I say. But most of you did what I did rather than what I said. This is the problem in society today. We are only telling them, do the way I do, but don't follow what I do. The tragedy is there. Father says, tell the son, no, don't tell lies. Don't tell lies. Father says, tell the son, don't tell lies. And he's watching the television and the mobile rings. He doesn't want to take the phone. He tells his wife, tell him I'm sleeping. The child looks at the father. Just now he told me not to tell lies. He's not only telling lies, but telling my mother also to tell a lie. And if this happens 4 or 5 times, the child will be convinced that telling a lie on the phone is not wrong. And he comes to college and you give a mobile to him. He misses class and goes to a movie. Father asks, where are you, son? He covers the phone and says, Appa, class is going on later. Who taught him to tell lies? Therefore, if the family fabric is becoming weak, because of the elders in the family, they don't demonstrate values. If they start doing it, family values will be there.
Perfect. It's so amazing that in a very simple way, how Sir communicates very powerful ideas. That also reminds me of the concept of namaste, as I understand sometime. Namaste also can be interpreted or understood as na mama aste. It's not me, it's you. So in that way, everything that we do also represents a lot of, in fact, as Sir rightly said, culture is not what we teach. We are the culture. I mean, people are looking at us and that's what they're learning. In this context, I've spent some time in Belgavi and I was a part of the ISKCON movement there. And in one of those interesting one, Prabhuji told me about in a parenting session, all families should do 5 things together. That is, Bhajan, Bhojan, Bhashan, Brahman, Bhushan. So if Bhajan, Bhojan, Bhashan, Bhushan, Brahman, if these 5 are unified at home, Bhajan, commonly doing things, Bhojan, the Sattvic food man talking about, the Bhushan, the dress that we wear, Bhashan, the way we speak, and Brahman, going to a common place. This is how we build a culture in a family. I owe that understanding to the movement of ISKCON. Thank you, sir, for such an enlightening understanding. Dr. Arati, I'm aware of the constraint of time. Dr. Arati, ma'am, it was India, Bharat is exposition of light. That's amazing. That's very enlightening. You also spoke about how education today has become more of an acquisition rather than a realization. Acquisition of including a foreign citizenship and not realization, as Swami Vivekananda said, it's about Macaulay's influence. So you also beautifully propounded that art is about experience, positivity, internalization of learning, beauty and the joy. So experiencing of joy is actually brings the world together. In that context, if I may ask you that today we are moving towards a world dominated by skills, and internalization of knowledge could be understood as a skill and as well as exposed as knowledge. How exactly do we start looking at internalization of what we learn, ma'am? I mean, the 64 kalas that you spoke about, the Guru just lived his life. We looked at him, learned and internalized. So in this context, how would you expound to teachers as well as students, how do they internalize what they actually understand?
Okay. One becomes an artist or a skilled person only when one internalizes. Without that, when we are unripe and we go out to perform, the lack of quality shows very well. We hear very commonly people saying, I don't have job satisfaction, I'm not happy, all these things. That's mainly because we are in a hurry to perform and to earn. So that hurry, that haste should go. If we want excellence, if we want to excel in something, it takes good time to, like you can never force a seed to saying, I sow it today, tomorrow you give me the fruits. That doesn't happen. Luckily, because the seed is not infested by Macaulay ideas. It's original. It knows it does a lot of homework inside, grows its roots well. When it's ready to face the outside world, only then it sprouts. You just uproot a little plant and see. If the plant is 1 feet, it will have 3 feet roots or even more. This is how nature is. This is the scheme of nature, where we have to first grow inside, reach within to, look within to reach out. So this is not only for art, for anything. You want to become a sportsman, you want to become a teacher, a scientist, an artist, or even a good human being. For everything, it is first looking within. So when we look within, we understand what we are made for. The nature has given us, Bhagavan has given us so many things. When I look within, when I have time enough to look within, not always WhatsApp, not always the TV, not always outside, I take time to look within. The inner voice says, go learn art, go learn music. You see, today many people are slowly realizing the U-turn is happening, very slowly of course, but you see people in very lucrative jobs out in the West, suddenly they leave everything, come here, they take up a farm, start krishi, they come to ISKCON, do bhajans, they go and teach some village children 2+2. You know, they enjoy that most. That's because they have finally understood what I am made for. So internalizing happens only when we are in the right field. There's a small story I read somewhere. It seems a baby camel was talking to its mama camel and asking, Amma, I have some questions. It said, look, why do we have such long legs? Mother said, that's because we are desert animals. The sand sinks, so we need very long legs. God has given us long legs. Okay, why do we have such a rough skin? Hairy and so rough. And that's because we live in the desert. It's scorching heat of the sun is there and so much of dust is falling upon us. We need a rough skin to tolerate all that. Okay, Amma, now why do we have such a long neck? Then the mother explained, because there's a big sac inside which can hold liters and liters of water. In desert, when we are very thirsty, we don't get water so easily, so that water will keep the moisture up in our body. Okay, Amma, one more question. Why do we have such long eyelids? That's because so much of dust and sunlight is there to protect the eyes. One last question. What are we doing in a zoo in Mysore? The mother had no answer. So the camel's body is made for the desert. If I am made to be an artist, if that is what nature has made me to be, I should better become an artist. If I'm made to become a scientist, I am very lucky. I had parents who gave me full freedom. When I took to arts, you know, everybody, my neighbors, my family, my cousins were raising, what happened? Arts to bitya, as if I did something wrong. Why, what happened? Marks badliwa. Oh. They were all confused. But my parents told me, okay, go explore. I'm so happy today. I think I'm one of the few people who is pursuing what one studies. Otherwise, you have a degree, do something else. So first point is, obey what the conscience dictates. We are made for something and we will excel only there. If we ape somebody, we will not. So today in the pursuit of skills and success and money and fame and visibility, blah, 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 whatever they call it, we are not looking within at all. The roots are not growing well. So one big rain and the roots, there's also another joke that a farmer who had an IT son both grew a garden and there was a big rain and all the gardens, the farmer's plants were all very small and the IT chap was telling his father, come on, change, you have to change. No, my guru is the Google guru, I get all ideas from there. Why do you follow these old methodologies? See, your plants are only 1 feet, my plants are 3 feet. Then that big cyclone happened, rains happened and all these IT fellows 3 feet plants slept, they were uprooted, but the 1 feet plants of the farmer, the old farmer continued. Then his IT Jwara came down and he asked, okay, what is all this about? Then the farmer explained, look, the problem of plenty is there with you people, you give everything too much, but nature says that a plant should be given only half water, half manure. And the next 50% half, it is hungry for more water and nutrients. It will explore the soil, it will grow its roots. You see, my plants, they have 3 feet roots and 1 feet they show outside. But your plants are 3 feet tall with only 1 feet. So that is the problem. So without growing inside, any field, not just art, there will come times in life when suddenly fame may not come, recognition may not come. There will be these blank periods when suddenly nobody recognizes you. All these happen, but those are secondary. What I am within should always shine forth from within. If we think that our measure of success is only about being recognized outside, awards that we get, the number of likes that we get or claps that we get, we are foolish. We'll be very miserable people. So first disconnect, go within, come out with the best and then give it to the world. And whether they clap for us or jealous of us, don't worry. Say Krishnarpanamastu and be happy.
Thank you. I think that's a very, very important lesson to all of us. I think look at the panel here, how they started and where they are. We have an engineer and a management graduate who's a storyteller. We have a Sanskrit scholar who's into culture. We have a chemistry professor who's into everything. We have a technical graduate into spirit. So this is identify the attribute and then let the children bloom. I think that's the whole idea. Thank you, ma'am. I come to Professor Saiswaroopa, a technical graduate, a management graduate, and a storyteller. A beautiful observation. Literature connects us not only to the world, but to the whole world. Please tell us, all of us, how do we develop the art of reading and then storytelling?
Yeah. So again, as Arathi ji mentioned, we, the education system till now has, forced us into this quick mode. Just crash courses, crash diet, everything crash, and actually a crash is happening, right? So I think, especially while things like art and literature, because they have a deeper message embedded. There is a need to slow down and experience. It doesn't come in the first attempt. It doesn't come in the first attempt when we, tomorrow if you take up the Mahabharata and, start reading it, probably the first shloka itself will take a long time. And then one would feel, when am I going to complete the whole thing, right? So it's okay, because it's not required that we complete the whole reading. It's only required that whatever we read, we internalize it, we keep ruminating it. That's what, Shankara Bhagavat Pada says, Bhagavad Gita kinchit aditha. So even one shloka of Bhagavad Gita and the consciousness of, Govinda is what is going to, save us. So I think we need to really, when we read the source literature, I'll say, of course, I'm a novelist, I'm supposed to market for my kind. I won't do that in ISKCON because everybody is more or less rooted in that consciousness. But when you take up a root shloka, I will say, look at first read the Sanskrit version and then look at the word for word translation. I know we are not all Sanskrit scholars like Arathi ji, but look up each word and try to understand why that particular word was used. And my own first-hand realization came to me when I was in my early 20s or so. The whole feminist anger about everything for no reason, right? And something about Ramayana. Why did Rama make Sita undergo Agni Pariksha and all that? The whole thing is so misogynist. The whole world is misogynist. That kind of anger building. And some incident, we'll not go deep into that incident, and something finally made me think I should go and read that stupid episode of Ramayana, I'll get more ammunition to attack, right? Then I went into that. I didn't even read the whole, the Ramayana leading to that. Rama's dialogue with Sita when she is brought to him, after, he starts with how does he address her? The word he uses is Bhadra. Bhadre. I don't remember the shloka beyond that. The word he addresses is Bhadra. What is the meaning of Bhadra? Pure. Auspicious. Secure. Then it's like, why does he address her as Bhadra and then tell all these things? Right? And that was the first bout of realization to me, which said, okay, these are not the way they were conveyed to us through various, distortions and, needless emotions added. There's something more. We need to read and we need to slow down and ruminate, may not be judge. So that was my first hand realization about, of course, I'm thankful to my parents who have been patient with me all through these, phases of life, teenage anger, 20s idealism and all that. And then there is another very interesting, metaphor that Rama uses to Sita. He says, you are, you stayed in, for 1 year, in Ravana's place. And you have no use to me, like light is not of use to the blind. So he is comparing Sita with light and himself to a blind person. That is then that struck me like, this is the real Rama. He knows and he acknowledges, but he is only admitting the weakness of a social belief that could have existed in those times. It is not Rama's disrespect for Sita. Otherwise, he wouldn't have used that metaphor. He wouldn't have called her a light and called himself a blind person.
Thank you.
Right? So I think this is the way, this is the kind of slowing down we need to internalize the messages of.
Thank you, ma'am. Reading is a process of interaction and introspection. Now, considering time, we open the session for any questions. I think the time can go on kind of resources we have, but we may take few questions. If anybody wishes to ask a question to any of the panelists here, kindly introduce. Kindly introduce your name and then the question. Please, yes, sir. Mike, okay. So you may try speaking. Let's see if you're audible otherwise. Yes, you are. Yeah.
Two levels. One is the observation which I wanted to make, a curious observation, and then the next question, which is again a thought just to kind of share with you. My observation is that, like a lot of thing has been referred to about Macaulay and all that, but thanks to Raja Ram Mohan Roy, who was advisor to the British Parliament as well as to Macaulay, we have an English language initiation, and after that 200 years of English language education in our system. And that has connected us to the world quite peculiarly, that we are talking about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, but language which connected us to the world is English. And today we have transacted all this in English language. And Sanskrit as Adi Bhasha was existing forever, but we never used it for day-to-day transactions for probably some good reasons. And we had the evolution of all the Indian languages from various locations of India, that is Bharat. And my question out here is that our Vedic thoughts are now transacted more in English than Sanskrit or other Indian languages. Where have we failed or ignored or continue to ignore as Bharatiyas, that today English language only connects us as the Bharatiya Kutumbika? I'm not sarcastic about it, I'm just kind of, just leaving this as an observation.
We get it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, fine. I have nothing against English as a language. Sarva Bhashamayi Saraswati. So Nada itself is Saraswati. So that's not the problem. It's about the ideologies that have been seeded into the Indian psyche. In fact, we can have a whole conference to answer your question. There's so much to say. In fact, I'm working a lot on this field. That is why I have very confidently coined the word Macaulay. Otherwise, I would not hold one person responsible. I'll tell you a small story, a historical incident that happened. This Macaulay was sent to India, and he was a very fanatic, racist European, not a scholar. But he was a very vicious person, Shakuni Mama type of person. So he was chosen to be sent to India. There was one big problem for the British people, that we have killed, looted and dominated so many countries so easily, but why have we not been able to do it to India so easily? After all this much of domination and political interventions and social, what do you call it, shuffling up and all these, and why don't people accept us? They still are so Swabhimanis. How does this happen? So where is that source of Swabhimana? So this was their question, and Macaulay did not instantly start his education system. He did some homework. This is a real incident from his life. And one day he was walking on his terrace, and he was observing the Indians' customs and ways of life. So he saw they were very well knit, the family is very close, they respect each other a lot. And he was wondering, where is the source of this Swabhimana, where does it come from? So he saw this young man, an Indian person, a youth who was working in Macaulay's, this British office. He has his house a few streets away. And he was traveling somewhere, so he was just getting into his carriage, loading all the luggage, and that gentleman, he bowed down to his Padabhivandana, to his parents, grandparents, all the elders, and then he he took the carriage and left. So now Macaulay had a question. He saw, of all the people whom he did pranams to, they were not only his parents and grandparents, there was his cook also, Adge Bhatta, the cook of his family. So Macaulay is very vicious but clever mind, started thinking, why the cook is him employee? He's a servant. Why should he give that much of respect to a butler? So then when that boy, that youth came back after a few days, Macaulay asked him, I'm very curious. Now you bow down to your parents, grandparents, but why to that cook? He's your servant after all. Then the boy said, no. In your culture, I don't know how you see a butler, but for us, he may be a butler, he may be poor, but he's a Sanskrit scholar. In our country, in our culture, even the Maharaja bows down to a Sanskrit scholar, a Vedic scholar. Why? Asked Macaulay. He said, because that is the mother root of our culture. It's from Veda, it is from Sanskritam that our names come, our life come, our languages come, our Vyakarana comes, our lifestyle comes, our emotions, everything, our Dharma, everything springs from that. That is the mother root of our life. Macaulay got his answer. The next thing he did was, he designed a system where Sanskrit should be displaced by English. And he's quite successful, but not 100% successful. He's quite successful. And he completely kept aside the Sanskrit Gurukulas. Please read Dharma Dispatch. Sri Sandeep Balakrishna has written very in detail about how the Gurukulas were closed overnight. Please don't think Gurukulas were poor, small ashramas like shown in the TVs. No. They were very prosperous institutions with lots of land and hoardings, and they used to host 10,000, 15,000 people at a time. They were very prosperous institutions. All that was suddenly denotified, suddenly de-recognized, and English took its place. English was imposed upon us, and they started giving special favors and titles to those people who studied English. It didn't happen overnight. It started in 1836, I think, and slowly, first they said if you come in European dress, we'll give you special favors. Then they started ridiculing our dress, our shikha, our pancha, our tilak, our dhoti, everything. And now you see, our youth, given a choice, they feel proud to wear a Western dress, and they feel not very comfortable to wear Indian dresses. As Sai Deepak ji rightly says, it's that day we are really truly independent in India, not just politically but intellectually and culturally and emotionally. That day we are really independent when we can walk into a mall or an airport or any part of the world confidently, happily wearing our Indian dress like the ISKCON people do. This is what Macaulay has done. They have seeded the idea of look Western, think Western, be Western, West is our model, destination West. This is what Macaulay could successfully seed. With due respect to English, even I have traveled across the world, English connects us all, okay. But this was pathologically made. It was made so because they wanted to rule the whole world. But Sanskritam became the Vishwa Bhasha with love. And one thing I want to correct you, sir, one small thing. You said Sanskrit was not the common man's language. That is the biggest myth spread by the leftists. You come to our Amar Kosha, you have words for the hammer, for the table, for the carpet, for everything. Why do you have to have names for all that? If only it was the Rishis. It was spoken by everybody. You see our Kalidasa's scriptures. All our Prakrita Bhashas, including Kannada, Hindi, you remove all these Urdu words from Hindi, what remains is Sanskritam only. So all our Desha Bhashas have their roots in Sanskritam. All our culture has roots in Sanskritam. The names of our rivers, names of our places, our names, our bhavana, everything, our dharma has its root in Sanskritam. We don't realize, but they know very well. That is why Hindu-phobic people are also Sanskrit-phobic. They always keep it aside. They call it classes, and they call it castes, they call it patriarchal, all that they call, because they know that if Sanskrit comes back, it will be that thread which connects all the beads together. It will be that mala. Now the sutra has become English, unfortunately. If English is displaced, let's learn English as a tool. We need it, okay. But if you learn Sanskrit, I am very proud because I know Sanskritam. Nobody can mislead me about Rama or Krishna or anything about our culture because I have read Vyasa Valmiki directly. This confidence we get when we read in the Desha Bhashas and Samskrita Bhasha. So they wanted to spoil our confidence, confuse us, and leave an emotional, cultural void. I have coined a word called culturally challenged. So we are all culturally challenged people. So this is the kind of mindset where they can easily convert us, impose their ideas. Okay, leftism, wokeism, conversion, all this can easily come into our mind, which is emotionally a void, which is culturally challenged. So let's become culturally very strong. Nobody can fool us, nobody can easily convert us.
Hare Krishna. First of all, I'd like to thank the so wonderful, amazing session we had. It was very educative. It brought about a new perspective in my life. You know, I'm an IT consultant, so we just know, you know, some things to know something, some knowledge, and we get some money. So that becomes the primary goal. After coming to this session, we learn the values of family, yoga shemam vahamyam. Krishna provides what you lack and he preserves what you have. This was really enlightening. Now my query is the current world situation. You know, there is a war going on between Russia and Ukraine. which does not follow Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. And previous we had COVID, because animals, everything that moves in China is just cut and eat. And we got COVID pandemic one after another. And recently, since many of the Sanatanis don't know what is Sanatan Dharma, we have the Kerala story. So these are real facts that since we as Sanatanis have not got the culture which actually we could have got, because of our English education, we just learn how to earn money. And there is STEM, that is science, technology, engineering and mathematics. That is millions and millions of dollars are being spent so that Indians can learn this technology and they can become CEOs of like Google or like IBM, and they learn how to bring in more money and money. But the whole game has turned from being culture oriented to money oriented. This is how I see it. And also the incoming of live-in relationship. The families are no longer joint. They have become, the divorce rate in India has increased. No, these observations, how we can change. These are the panelists who are the people who are leading in their fields, who could guide us how the situation can become better.
As we have been hearing about English and Western and IT, so I would think that Srila Prabhupada has presented the original Vedic literatures in English language, and he distributed that around the world and got all the Westerners to become devotees of Krishna, and they also started having shikha and wearing dhoti and going around the world and spreading Sanatan Dharma. This is Prabhupada did a turnaround of the whole thing, and we should continue to do this more and more, and people become very strong in our culture, in our understanding. Srila Prabhupada said, I have very painstakingly translated every word of the Gita and the Bhagavatam. He would do all through the night from 11 p.m. up to 6 a.m. That's when he wrote all his books, sitting in the night as an elderly person. And Prabhupada said, in every word in Sanskrit there is a treasure house of understanding. That is why I am painstakingly writing like this, so that you read these books carefully, study and explore the treasure that is there in our literatures. And so we must do that more and more and spread this awareness all over the world. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. Along with this, I could distribute more than 100 Bhagavad Gitas and Krishna books. And just by reading one Prabhupada book, Isopnishad, in a rehabilitation center in Nityanand Rehabilitation Center in the year 2004, I today become a devotee, and I dress like a devotee, and I go to airport in kurta and pajama.
On that note, I deeply appreciate your interaction. It's been a pleasure having you, and it's been a great learning experience. I know we should never miss an opportunity again to listen to these eminent intellectuals, and it's not about listening. A small observation, it was told that the responsibility of spreading or becoming a leader solely rests upon us. G20 is an occasion where India has come to the limelight, and what India becomes is what we let it become. So therefore it's time that we exhibit pride in what we are, what we have been, and let this world know it and enjoy that. On that note, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sandeep Nair, for conducting the panel discussion. It helped us to have the essence of the conference. For the next part of the conference, I would like to request His Grace Mahotsa Chaitanya Das. He is the Head of Communication and Public Relations at ISKCON Bangalore, to propose vote of thanks. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. It was a truly enlightening and enlivening session of C20 National Conference here. I extend my heartfelt gratitude on behalf of ISKCON Bangalore and the C20 Organizing Committee to all our eminent panelists for sparing their valuable time and engaging us in this enlivening panel discussion for the last couple of hours. They deserve a big round of applause. I also thank Dr. Sandeep Nair for expertly moderating the panel discussion for this event. I extend my thanks to all the volunteers, the technicians, and all the people responsible for making this event successful. The important points that have emerged from today's event will be tabled in the C20 Summit, which will be further tabled to the G20 committee. Last but not the least, I thank all of you, the wonderful audience, for being active part of the C20 event and making it a grand success. Kindly remain seated. I have a few important announcements. Please note, we have arranged lunch for all of you. I hope you have collected your lunch prasadam coupons. If you have not yet collected, I request you to collect the same at the help desk just outside. Lunch will be served in two venues, the English Lecture Hall and the FRDC Hall. The venue is mentioned on your coupons. I request all of you now to kindly raise for the national anthem. This unique rendering of national anthem was composed by the 2 times Grammy Award winning Ricky Cage and his team as a part of the C20 Summit. Thank you very much for joining us. You may proceed for prasadam. Hare Krishna.